What's going on, Coach? What's
Hey,
up, buddy?
not much. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How's things for you, bro?
I am blessed, thank you. We had a hard fought win last night, and it's always easier waking up after a win than it is a loss. I'm doing pretty good this morning.
Hey, can you turn your volume up? I can barely hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got me there?
I can hear you. It's just low. Give me a second. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm all the way up on my phone here.
I can hear you. It might just be from where you're at. Um, you ready to get this thing started, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like your what do you call it, man cave or podcast there, whatever area you got behind you. It's a pretty cool setup.
Yeah, man. I spent some time on it, man, trying to get it up to par, But yeah, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Corey Bosmer, person that runs the social media football page on Facebook and Twitter, known as Football for Kentucky DBA. Today's guest is a well-known high school coach from what's the name of your school again, Kurt?
Coronado High School in San Diego, California. Coronado.
Yeah, head coach at Coronado High School out in California. How you doing today, Mr. Hines?
I'm blessed, thank you. It was we had a great game last night, a lot to work on, but we came away with a W. So I'm doing well.
Yeah. So I want you, for the folks out there to know who you are, and most of the folks know you. How did you get? How did you get? I guess you can say famous, quote unquote, on social media. What like made you break out as far as that goes? What was the starting point for that?
It, I'll give credit to the Twitter platform and to my wife. I when Twitter came out, I think it was like the first 4 or 6 years, give or take. I wanted nothing to do with it because I just didn't see the purpose. And my wife, who's my best friend, she goes to every game. She would come to the away games, and by the time we were leaving the locker room, she was already home watching the highlights of the other teams. So I would always text her or call her and say, "Hey, who won this game or who won that game?" And she said, "Hop on Twitter and just follow this guy that runs the account for New Hampshire and this guy that runs that has all the scores." So I hopped on Twitter and started posting some videos, and they seemed to connect with a good number of people, and it's kind of gone from there. It's been a cool thing just to connect with people like yourself and people literally throughout the United States, Canada, Europe, and just talk football, talk life. So it's been a pretty cool vehicle to help me share what I believe is a message that's important to certain people and to learn a lot from others.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I want to say, yeah, I'm trying to remember what video it was, but you were talking. I think it might have just been a pregame speech to your team, and I had seen it on Twitter, like reshared it. Somebody did that. I know. I was like, man, I got to reach out to this guy. That was some pretty cool stuff. And it's like you said, social media is a very powerful tool, and you can utilize it to your full advantage if you know how to use it right. So with being known in the social media world, especially in the social media world of football, how do you, being known as you are, manage that and sit aside from just being the regular Kurt Hines himself and the regular coach that Kurt is? Because I know that's got to kind of be tough sometimes on you because players know that you're known. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's funny. It just so happened we just came off a bye week last weekend. And the game before that, our starting center and Mike linebacker fractured his ankle. So he just had surgery. He's done. But his mother had shared private message with my wife and I and shared that he went to the doctor, and the doctor mentioned he knew me or knew of me through social media and podcasts. And I guess he asked JT, he said, what's he like in real life? And she, with permission, I shared it. I'm paraphrasing, but she said that her son JT, who's one of our senior captains, like I said, starting center and Mike linebacker, said he's exactly who you see online. Coach Hines is Coach Hines with us, and he's not any different than what you see online. And that meant and means the world to me because I don't, the young men and young women we coach, I know you know this as well as I do.
Yeah.
They're not dumb. They're smart, and they'll
Right.
see through phony. They'll see through fake. If we try to be someone we're not, they're gonna pick up on that, and I respect it. Um, so how I manage it is truly as corny as this may sound. I just try to be myself. You know, the funny thing was we played a very tough team last night, and we ended up coming away with a W. And we're walking through, and they had this big friggin' dude, number 88, walking through shaking hands, said, "Hey, great job." And he goes, "Oh, I follow you on," and he mentioned a few platforms.
Right.
And I could hear some of my players behind me just kind of laugh or whatever. The cool thing is, you know, we're 4-2 right now. And, you know, when we lose a game, I think as a coach especially, but players as well, you got to go through, shake hands, look them in the eye and say, "Hey, great game. Congratulations." When you lose, just like you do when you win. And it's, you know, being known, if you will, on social media is not going to do anyone any good if I act a different way or I'm a different person behind closed doors with our players or when we lose a game against other teams. So it's a blessing to be able to, you know, share as I do on the platform things that I mentioned that are important to me, that I think resonate with others, and then to have opposing coaches and players, whether we win or lose, see the same person, not see someone that's going to throw a tantrum or a fit when we lose.
Definitely, definitely. So I want to talk about what was it that went on last year? Um, that situation. I think it was last year, like something with one of your all's sports teams at the school. How like when something, yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about now.
Yes, I do.
So when something like that happens, because it was pretty serious. How do you handle something like that? Because, like, I
Yeah.
mean, players' emotions, coaches' emotions, parents' emotions, everybody at that school has emotions. You know, being in a position that you are, people naturally are going to levitate to you for answers. How do you handle something like that when something serious happens?
Yeah, great question, Corey. Real quick backstory for your listeners that may not know. It was during the basketball season. The basketball team won a huge playoff game, and someone from town brought tortillas and said to some of the players, "Hey, when you win, throw these, you know, up in the air. It's a way to celebrate." And I'm not going to get into the political part of it, whether or not it was premeditated by the guy that brought them, what the intentions were. But the players that threw them not only threw them up in the air, but threw them towards the other team. Not good in any way, shape, or form. Uh,
Right.
what happened, I wasn't at the game. It was a basketball game. I wasn't at the game, but immediately I started getting attacked on social media. Our school got attacked. You know, Coronado's racist. And first of all, I don't think there's a single school in the country. I've never been to one as an opposing coach or a coach there. I don't think there's a school that's racist. Do I think there are individuals? 100%. Do I think players and coaches? Absolutely. At different schools throughout. My response to my team, first and foremost, was there's going to be a greater spotlight on us now more than ever. We
Right.
just have got to continue to be who we claim to be, win with class, lose with class, and make sure everything we do is not different and not say, "Hey, we're under the microscope now. Let's change some things." Just keep being who we are. For the people, and most of them were people that have no idea who I am and we've never met face to face, who said, "What are you going to do right now?" My response was, it wasn't the football team, and that I'm not pushing that off to the basketball team. I said we did have, and we do have some players that are basketball players as well. But my response was, what I'm going to do is continue to try to lead by example and love and empower everyone we play, everyone we play against, everyone we coach, and use this horrible situation as an opportunity when the spotlight's on you to continue to do things the right way. Matter of fact, we had a parent in the stands last night. There's one mom who was trying to steal the ear of my wife and just yapping to her all night. And she brought up an issue that her son shared was happening with our program, which I hadn't heard about. So I addressed it first thing this morning before we started breaking down any film, before I talked about anything else. And I said, "Listen, we've got to address this right now." I said, "If you are the individual," I didn't want to call the young man out. I said, "If you're the individual that someone claimed is doing this, or if you had a part of it, or if you're being, you know, the victim, if you will, come to me right after practice, not Monday, not Tuesday, come to me right away. Let's address this here and now, not sweep anything under the rug." And no one came to me. Now, it doesn't mean it's not happening, but I think in your question about what happened last year or anything that happens here and now, I think our job as coaches, as leaders, is to address it head on and not
Yep.
try to sweep it under the rug, not say, "Hey, that's a star player. We have to kind of, how can we snake around this?" But just address it head on. And when there's blame to be taken and when there's apologies to be made, act on that. And if not, don't get defensive. You know, some people that were attacking me saying, hey, you know, the basketball team's racist, which I don't think they are. There's a lot. We have a lot of mixed, you know, nationalities and races on the team, as we do on the football team. But when they started attacking me, and just control the controllables. I can't control how someone thinks about me. I can just control who I am and how I am to and with other people. So I think when that happens, just we can't fix everyone's problems. There's always going to be, for lack of better words, haters out there that, you know, are going to try to pin us or paint us in a certain way. Just keep being who you are and stand by it.
Definitely. I like what you said. That makes me think of a quote that my grandma said to me all the time. I can't help how you feel about me.
Amen. Yeah, it's control the controls. We've got to, without getting preachy to your audience or to you, but my faith is everything to me. We got to, at the end of the day, look ourselves in the mirror, but answer to God. And we might fool the whole world along the path, you know, as the poem, the saying goes, but it's the man in the mirror. You know, who can we look ourselves in the eye and who are we going to answer to when our days are done, and just take it from there.
No, that's definitely correct. So I know you recently experienced something tragic.
Yep.
We don't have to really go in full detail. That's upon you. So I go around it without getting too specific. When you have something tragic happen, as you did, because you know what people fail to realize, when you get social media known, or just known in general in any walk of life, people tend to forget that you're still human. We still have feelings and all that. How have you been